This is the pilot to Destiny. Okay. This is going to be a 30-minute episode. And I have to put it in parts because I tried to do the 15-minute thing and it said it was too long, so I have to do 10 minutes each. Okay. This one is called Hannah. And this is my own work. I was sitting there just watching my mom crying, not knowing what to say to her. Another one of my mom's boyfriends walks out the door. I never know what to say. Anytime I do say something, my mom listens for a few weeks, and then the next guy is in my mom's sight. I guess I quit trying to be enough for her. It's not that I hate seeing my mom happy with someone, it's just that I know it won't last. Most of the guys she invited to live with us were not right. They mostly just used her for money or because they thought she was going to be their live-in maid. That is something that always made me mad. The guys she chose seemed to always be controlling. That was at least something that I learned from living with them. I was not going to be controlled. The guys did try to control me though. They tried to be my dad. My dad died when I was really little, and I never got to see him. I, however, do know that he was way better than these guys my mom chose. My mom told me enough stories though. I love the idea of him. I think that is why my mom looked everywhere to find another person just like my dad. None of these guys fit the part. If it was just for me, I wish she would have just quit looking. I wanted it to just be me and my mom for the longest time, but that was until I met Jerry. Jerry was a guy I met through a friend of a friend. I disliked him at first, but to be fair, I would have disliked anyone. I did not have faith in relationships. After we spent a few days together, we were inseparable. I never thought that I would be interested in anybody, especially someone completely different from me. Everything was perfect until after a month of spending time together. I found out he had to move. He told me he had to take care of his family's business and that he would be back. We had the longest kiss as I told him goodbye. I felt so lost without him. Days turned to weeks and weeks turned to months, and I started to have dreams of being lost in water. I had no idea what it was about. I didn't even know how to swim. One day I had a dream showing me this guy. He was mouthing a word out that I couldn't figure out what it was. Then a few moments later, I saw the word destiny written in sand. After a few more nights of that, I saw Jerry underwater. He told me to come visit him. I had no idea where he was, except I could tell it had to be on the coast somewhere. I remember him telling me how amazing the beaches were on the coast of Florida, so I decided to pack up my stuff in Mom's and go there. I convinced Mom by reminding her that we lived in a small town. She was running out of guys to choose from and live there anyway. Plus, she liked seeing me happy. At first, she did not like Jerry. He gave off the impression of knowing too much. Most of the time we were together, my mom was not happy. I think she was afraid that I was going to leave and that Jerry was trying to change me. The moment that he left, though, Mom could tell I was no longer content living our average life. I had to make a change. It looked like vacationing in Florida was going to be it. Even if I never saw Jerry again, I felt like something was bringing me there. I had to find out what it was. My mom did not know that the reason I was going to Florida was because of an actual dream I had. She thought that I heard from Jerry and he was going to meet us at a certain point. I was not about to tell her. We would definitely not be leaving then. It was going to be lonely going up there with this big secret, but I had a long drive to get my mind off of it. On the big car ride up there, my mind kept thinking about what if I never find him? What if I never see him in my life? What if we go up there and my mom finds a worse guy and never see her again? I pull over as I see my mom is asleep and oblivious of all my haunting thoughts. So grateful that she is asleep. Tears start to fall down my cheeks, but for a moment. If she wakes up, I know I can just blame it on being tired and needing a quick rest. It is midnight by this time. We were on the road for 5 hours. I start to believe that this is why I'm overthinking and start to decide to close my eyes. Once I fall asleep, I have two dreams. The first one, I was in a big desert. I felt very thirsty and my skin started to get super dry. I saw pointy scales like you see on fish start to grow on my arms. I started to dig and dig in the ground, but I still couldn't find any relief. A few moments later, the second dream occurred. I saw a girl that was in some water. She looked depressed and trapped. She was stuck in quicksand and she couldn't get out of. Suddenly, I woke up drenched in sweat. I was suddenly energized and I had faith that there was a purpose for where I was going. For the moment, I had no idea where, but I just looked straight ahead, determined to figure it out. Shauna. I loved living in the water since I was a little tad. That was up to the point when I watched a bunch of girls that looked like me outside of having these skills and this fin having fun. I used to believe that living underwater was normal. They had the best of both worlds. They swam when they were under the water, and then when they got out, they had these long things on their bottom half. Then I saw them move around so elegantly on the sand. I never knew that I was actually caged until I saw that. I wanted those things so bad that one day I had enough courage to swim to shore. I thought maybe if I got to the beach, that maybe magically those walking sticks would appear for me. However, it did not. I plopped on the ground. I started hearing people rushing over to me. One of the rules being underwater was that no one could see us that wasn't a part of our kingdom. I thought that might include these people, but maybe my family didn't know about this kingdom. For a moment, I was excited because what if I had just discovered something? My dad would be very excited. All of a sudden, I got pulled under the water. Ouch! I looked down and my dad was pulling my super dry fin back down to our home. Dad, you won't believe what I just found. My dad was ignoring me and did not even look up. I told you not to venture out. He did tell me that. But there was something I knew about my dad. It was his unwavering determination to figure things out himself. I was just doing the same thing. Dad, I want to know why we can't explore. I feel like you're keeping something from me. My dad's fin started to get really red, so I stopped talking. When my dad got like that, I knew I should just be quiet. He looked at me like I just killed our pet fish. Some things you just don't need to know. Maybe I will. I knew where he was going with this. What? Tell me when I'm older? Dad looked at me. I'm old enough. He has seen he has been telling me that same thing since I was 7. That was nearly 10 years ago. You can't keep treating me like I'm a baby. He looked down. I can if you keep acting like one. Why do you think I don't let you go down there? Do you think it is punishment for you? Do you think I like arguing with you? I start to mumble to myself. Sometimes I wonder. My dad looked at me like he could hear me. Fine then, go explore. My dad let go of my fin and started to swim another way. I hated being in fights with him. We both had the same stubborn trait. I knew that he was taking off to calm down. It's what my dad did. I don't know why this made him so angry. I went straight home to my room after my run in with my dad, and he left me. I didn't want any more reasons for him to be mad. He never came in to tell me good night. It was so hard to sleep when it came to bedtime. I decided to swim around to see if I could find him. I saw a shiny light coming from up above the water. I went above shore because I doubted anyone was there and saw this magical light. It was so bright and twinkly, I made a wish to myself that things were different, and maybe things would change around here. All of a sudden, the light fell in the water. I was so mesmerized. I tried to touch it, but I started to feel different. Maybe this meant that my wish would come true. I went back down till I got to my bed. I went to sleep so much better that night than I have since I was a baby tad. I knew that tomorrow I would talk to my dad and everything would be better. I had visions in my sleep that felt so real. I saw a girl with no scales and no fins, so I started to ask her for help. She looked at me with pity in her eyes. Her eyes looked so familiar. She tried to help me out of this quicksand once she fell. Once she did, fell in, and I was safely on the ground. She tried to help me out of this quicksand. Once she did, she fell in, and I was safely on the ground. For one moment, I felt bad. But once she was in the quicksand, she started to smile, and so I walked off.